Hello. Welcome to today's live. I'm so happy to be here, expecting a guest to be joining me today. If you're new to this page, I'm Sheila Vitello. I am an entrepreneur and self-care strategist, and I am so inspired by helping you create your version of success in your life. And so today, I'm so happy for a dear friend and mentor of mine joining me on this live today to talk about what this could mean for you, how you can create a life of success that you desire. Now, Kate Northrup is a best-selling author of Money, a Love Story, and Do Less, a seven-figure business owner, a mother, a partner, and an inspiration to so many of us. She has been a mentor of mine for like 9 years, even before I knew her. And so grateful that she's joining us here today. I'm actually going to add her to this conversation. Hey,
How are you?
I'm great. So good to see you again.
So good to see you. Hello.
I feel like I've been with you all week because I have. It's been a gift.
It's been so fun to be with everyone. What a joy.
Yeah. So for those of you who have been following along in my emails on my page, Kate has been leading such a beautiful experience this week in a free workshop called Wide Receiver. And it's all about having you or helping you create a more abundant life, more abundant than you can imagine. And so, Kate, why don't you tell me, where did the term wide receiver come from? Why did you choose? I mean, I think I know why, but tell me, why did
Well,
you
you
choose that?
it just kind of dropped in. The way I operate creatively is I just kind of live my life and then I wait for stuff to drop in. And when wide receiver dropped in as the title for our next money workshop, I was like, that's weird. That's a football position. But it just kept like sticking with me. And I was like, I just love this idea of receptivity, and it's something that so many people struggle with because, um, we can get into that, but like we really, so many women in particular that I know struggle with receiving, and we shut it down and we have so many blocks. And so I was like, what would it be like to, craft something around the concept of receiving so that by the end of 3 days, folks really knew the mechanics of opening their arms wider to receive the abundance that really is all around us at all times, but we can't access or we can't see because we are blocking it in a lot of ways with our programming, with our behavior, with all kinds of things. And so that's where wide receiver, I know it just dropped in last August.
I love it. And it is so great. And yeah, that's a football position. Yeah. I'm one of those annoying people who watches the Super Bowl, like, oh, what's this? Oh, right. I
Yeah.
can Google it now. Um, but I love this. And when you think about the energy of receiving, I think we've had conversations in the past about kind of the old, like what really brought me so much more deeply into your world about a different way of operating in life and business without all the push and the hustle, but actually with receiving as more of a gentle energy where you can get so much more accomplished, like doing less with more. And it was this idea that we come from the culture of um, feeling like we have to give everything, especially as women. And if you feel like you are somebody who's giving a lot of value, you have to give, give, give until it hurts, until you collapse. And so the idea of receiving is so beautiful. I was just on a call this morning with someone who was talking about, we were talking about bucket list goals and dreams. And they said, thanks for asking that question because I don't think about what I want. I think about what my kids want. And so she was able to, in a moment, actually imagine what would it be like to receive something that she actually wanted.
Yeah.
So thanks for inviting us into that, reminding us of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And really like it starts with tuning our receiver, literally, like our bodies have a receiver inside of them, not just metaphysically, but physically, like physiologically, we are actually receivers.
Yeah.
Our nervous systems are receivers, and they are wired to keep us in a narrow band of experience that matches our past experience, which is great for survival, but it is not great for expansion. And so, one of the things that we really can do is learn to turn the dial to a different station of receiving so that we can have a new experience. But most people who want a new experience with their money are just so focused on, I just have to make more money, I just have to make more money, or it's hard to make more money, I can't, that they're not even open to all of the more easeful, in flow ways that could happen, that's not through hustle, not through self-sacrifice, and also that's available to all kinds of people, right? But we limit ourselves with this nervous system programming that's like, don't do anything that is new that our ancestors haven't done before. That's scary, and I'm going to do everything in my power, including delivering limiting belief after limiting belief after limiting belief, to prevent you from learning anything new, to have any kind of new experience.
Yeah, it really is that feeling of safety. I was speaking to someone earlier about how they were thinking about things in their life and they almost felt boring because they were so happy and content with their life. Meanwhile, they're living this big life doing these big things. And I was celebrating the fact that that felt boring because at one time that wouldn't have felt boring.
Yes, we do. We change levels, we change set points. There's something called the hedonistic adaptation, which is just that, like, when we get something new, we think it's gonna, we buy the boat, we buy the house, we get the handbag, we take the trip to Italy. What, maybe not so much the trip to Italy. I think that one's gonna stay with you forever. I'm
Oh
like an
yeah.
experiences person, not a stuff person. So, but we have this idea that like it's going to then it's going to be it forever, and it never is. Like, after a pretty short period of time, any kind of expansion, we do adapt to it. But that's one wiring system, which I didn't get into during wide receiver, but this is like a bonus. We have an entire dopamine circuitry, which is around the reward circuitry and our desires. Like, I want that Oreo, I want that Louis Vuitton bag, I want that car, I want that whatever glass of wine, I want, yeah, I don't know, whatever, right? That's dopamine. Dopamine controls the wanting, and it gives us, it's this reward trigger in the brain. It makes us feel this sense of reward from the wanting. But there's an entirely different circuitry in our body that actually controls the liking. And so dopamine circuitry is the wanting, but when we get what we want, dopamine doesn't like it. We actually have to train ourselves in an entire different patterning, which is deeply connected to the heart, the nervous system, our ability to generate oxytocin, connectivity hormones, and that's the here and now circuitry. So part of the nervous system healing that we do is, sorry, I really went on a tangent here, Sheila.
I love it. So good. My nerd brain is geeking out. Yes, keep going.
Part of the healing that we do in wide receiver is to activate the here and now circuitry, because the only way we will ever find lasting satisfaction and abundance is through activating the here and now circuitry, which is deeply related with our nervous system's ability to feel safe in expanded experiences.
Mm. I guess, is that something that we can access in like a meditative state, or is that something that can be just reminded and lived out in our day-to-day experience, just as we're looking
Yeah,
for it?
that's a great question. I think, the more regulated we are, so the more we are able to access a sense of well-being in our nervous systems, a parasympathetic response, which is rest, digest, tend and befriend, stay and play. That's like all is well, right? So when our body feels like all is well, we actually have capacity to then choose what we're putting our attention on. And we can be like, oh, I'm going to actively like connect with this plant right now, and actively have my here and now circuitry co-regulating with the beauty of this plant and this living being in my office, right? Like, that's something we have access to when we are first regulated. Also, connecting with a plant just regulates you. But when we are rushing around, when we have an overflowing threat bucket, stress bucket, when we are running, when we are going from thing to thing, when we are constantly focused on meeting everybody else's needs, what we're doing with our circuitry is our body is saying, I have no more space. I can't choose anything new because choosing anything new is incredibly energetically expensive. So let's pretend you have an old house and you want to redo the electricity. You know that like hiring the electrician and then getting into the walls and having them pull out all the wiring and have them put in all new wiring is very expensive. And it takes a lot of time and it takes a specialized person to do that. You don't want to be messing around with the electricity, right? It is the same thing in our bodies. Our nervous system and all of our patterns of thought and our associations with money are our wiring, and it's expensive energetically to redo it. So our body doesn't want to put in the energy. So when presented with a new belief system, a new paradigm, a new possibility, an example of someone living in a different way, our body will shut it down because we're like, I don't have the capacity or the energy to make a new wiring right now. I'm going to go with the old ones because I don't have capacity. So the name of the game here is, the answer is yes. We can absolutely just throughout the day access these new patternings to activate our here and now system. However, we can do that only when we've grown our capacity between stimulus and response enough to have choice in the middle. And choice comes from having a regulated nervous system.
It all comes back to that. And so, yeah, that I love what you just shared there. And it's something that I think we can relate to when we think about these big things that happen in our life, these big changes like new jobs or moving or a child going to school or leaving the home or starting to drive and buying his first car this week. Very exciting. And all of these things, it's like, whoa, it's too much. It's goodness.
Yes.
It's all good things.
Good
but
stress.
It feels like I need a nap. And
Yes.
so I will say, like, this has been so foundational for me. And for those of you who are new to this work, Kate has an incredible program that she's going to be opening up starting this week. And I've been involved in one of her cohorts this past year called Relaxed Money. And what's really, really helped me is moving through the central nervous system healing practices. In fact, the ones that you had in your membership origin previous to, wonderful, helping not just with money, but with relationships and growth and expansion. And so for those of you new on this journey, and if you feel like you're bumping up against a growth edge and you wonder, well, why do I stop myself? Or why do I all of a sudden need a nap? And how do I move through? How do I actually expand? Knowing in my brain what I need to do. It's not a brain trip. It is a body trip, as you've been known to say, Kate. So I so appreciate what you have put together in your body of work that keeps expanding, and what's to come this coming year as well for all of the people joining. And so I would say, you know, this whole idea of having an understanding of what we want is important, but how do we get there? Finding guides to take us to where we've never been before. Kate is someone who I really invite all of you to follow and learn from. And I do want to say, I know our time is short here, that if you're interested in learning more about this and actually expanding in it and being in a community of people who are actually up leveling in many areas of their life, but with money as a real focus, which is a big one for a lot of us, please comment the word receive, and I'll send you information about that to come. And we're going to talk about this in a quick sec too. But I did want to say also that in being in this work, doing this nervous system work, my own personal experience has been first understanding, oh, now I know why I get sleepy at certain times when I really should be focused on the next move. And I have tools to help me through it. And as a result, in the last 18 months, my business has grown and expanded. I've stepped into new rooms, bigger rooms, had bigger conversations than I didn't really think were possible at this phase of my life in my 50s. And everything's possible to me now. And so I'm seeing it financially, but I'm seeing it energetically in my relationships and in new expanded avenues as well in my work. So thank you, Kate. I so appreciate that. And so I'd love for you to share. I had a couple of questions, but I think we can condense them. And I think you actually answered them. And I think that is, how do we say we are experiencing success in our life? We're doing well, but we do want to go further, but we're bumping up against that growth edge.
Yeah.
What do we do? What's our first step? I mean, other than really joining Kate in this program and learning and living it.
Well, I love this, and I want to kind of explain the mechanics behind it. I don't know, Sheila, if you want to go ahead and while I do that, if you want to put in the comment and then pin it. If you put in the comment to put in receive, and then do you know how to pin it? You just hold it down and it'll pin the comment. So folks hopping in and out can just grab that. So let's say you're going along well, but you're ready for your next level. Maybe your income has plateaued, or you're not making as many sales, or you're going for a new job, or you're whatever it is. What's happening there is that you have obviously like raised your nervous system thermostat to a particular point, and then every new level in our life we need to change the thermostat setting again. And so what happens is our nervous system, when it bumps up against something that's unfamiliar, even when it's positive, like a new job offer, or like a wedding, or like a college graduation, or beautiful next levels in our businesses or whatever, it can really feel like actually a threat to our nervous system, because every new level of expansion requires rewiring, and our body doesn't want to expend the energy. It is wired for survival. And so in order to help it thrive, what we need to do is actually learn to, when we're at those edges of our current capacity, we need to learn to signal safety. And there are certain ways to do that, and there's certain sequencing and all sorts of drills and behaviors and tools which we practiced in Wide Receiver. So you can comment, receive, you can access those replays. They're going to be up for about another week, so you have time to access them. But these tools are ways that we can signal to our nervous system, hey, you're safe now. There's actually no immediate threat. This job promotion actually is not going to kill you. Actually, like going out in public speaking in this way, you're not going to die. And so but we can't tell ourselves that. We have to feel that. And that's what our culture has not really understood. It's why I am talking ad nauseum about the nervous system, and I will never stop, because our culture tells us that either it's our external circumstances and there's nothing we can do about it, or we have to wait until the next, president or prime minister is in office. So that's not going to do it. Or the economy or whatever, right? So it's not going to be an external thing. Or then we're in the personal development world. They're over here being like, oh, it's your mindset. It's your thoughts. Just think a new thought that feels better. Your body cannot access a new thought, or at least hold on to it and believe it, because that new thought it experiences as a threat. So we have to learn to feel our way into first safety and then expansion. And as you said, it is not a head trip, it is a body trip. And there are very specific ways to do that. But one of them is to get in nature, because we are nature, and our bodies always remember the truth of who we are when we connect with plants and animals and the outdoors. So, I won't get into like a whole drill, but I can tell you that being in nature is deeply regulating. The scientific data is unfreaking believable, and it is like the easiest, most straightforward thing to do. But we're just inside all the time, wondering why we feel so terrible.
It's so true. And I see it when I've had to have deep conversations, difficult conversations with my kiddos at varying stages. It's like, hey guys, let's just go out and stand on the grass and chat. Oh, everything
Smart.
gets
So
so much
smart.
easier. So much easier. And it's like more challenging in the
Yeah.
winter, but fortunately we can handle it. And so I love that. I love everything you shared, and I'm so grateful that you could be here today. I know you've had a real big week of visibility, but you know what I've really noticed is there is just this kind of glow that comes and emanates from you when you're teaching this work. And I know from following along your journey, it's because of what you've personally experienced. And so for those of you who are, again, you haven't maybe been in on the wide receiver workshop, when you comment receive, I've pinned the comment, please sign up. You will receive the replay. And please listen, if nothing else, to the story that Kate shares off the top about what she personally has experienced in her own life, because it is a guidepost for anyone to be able to come through different circumstances. A few things I want to say that I so appreciate about how you've been presenting this is your openness and transparency, your vulnerability, your the way you share from a heart of inclusion to people from all different walks of life and experiences, and also the way you are really honoring everyone's nervous system as you present this. So I just highly regard you for doing that. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you have any parting thoughts before we let you go on your way and be with your loves.
Thank you, Sheila. So what I will say is that, per what you just said, we have worked with people who've experienced homelessness, who have been filing for bankruptcy, who have been in massive debt, all the way to people who are deploying tens of millions of dollars every day as part of their regular life or inheriting those levels of wealth. So I work with a very wide swath of humanity financially. And what I find is that the numbers don't matter. It's the feeling that matters. And it's the story that our bodies are telling, and then the stories that our minds make meaning of based on the feeling. And all of our nervous systems work pretty much the same way. All of our brains work, similarly. There's certainly lots of neurodivergence, but the nervous system is the nervous system. And so there's not one person who has a pulse who can't access more relaxation, more and a healthier relationship with money, because the switch to turn that is actually inside. There's nothing in our external circumstances that prevent us from accessing the switch inside.
I love that so much. And it's great to be co-regulating, if you want to learn about this, co-regulating in a community of people learning this work and really practicing it. Because that's what it is, like anything else. We're not going to perfect it. We're going to be working on it for life. But if we can practice it together and shine a light on what's possible for each other, so many beautiful things can happen. We can really be a light in the world when we are more relaxed. So thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And I look forward to catching up again soon. Thanks for being here. Thank you, everyone who has joined. Please comment, receive, and you'll get all the details to help yourself have your most abundant year this year.
Thank you, love.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye.